Ladies and gentlemen, I am known for many things in my day-to-day life, but perhaps one of my biggest titles is milking top-level chess players. In particular, in no particular order, Magnus Carlsen, Hikaru Nakamura, Hans Niemann, and Gukesh. Right there. Well, in this video, you're going to be getting 3 out of those 4 people. Myself, Gukesh, the current world champion, and Magnus Carlsen, the current split world champion in Blitz chess. You see, I was playing a tournament on chess.com, and I was hiding who I was playing against. Turned out I played Gukesh. And in the very next game, Gukesh played Magnus, the world champion, versus arguably, the best player in the world right now. Let's take a look at these games. These were very, very, very fascinating games. Now, I put up a very, very big fight against Gukesh. Unfortunately, he proved to be world champion caliber. But then this game between Gukesh and Magnus was absolutely fascinating. So, again, if you're new to this, you might be wondering why the back pieces are scrambled. That's because we are playing Chess 960, Fischer Random, freestyle chess, whatever you want to call it, which is basically a mode of chess where the back row is shuffled randomly at the beginning of every game. So there are no openings, right? So my opponent played the move e4 to start the game, all right? And I was like, all right, how do I develop here, right? Like, where am I going to put all my pieces? I got bishops in the corners. I was thinking, you know, something like this, something like this. I didn't really want to go g5. I felt like this was a bit of a weakening move. I kind of didn't want to keep it symmetrical. I wanted to be a little bit edgy, so I played f5. As it turns out, f5 is already a losing mistake in one move, which is rough. Why? Because, well, my idea was that if takes, I would be able to get my rook out, and then I would play, you know, I would get my bishop on the diagonal, open up. But my opponent, Gukesh, went here. And this is bad. This is not good for me. This is not good at all. The point is that he already controls the center, and it's difficult for me to move my knight. And if I move my pawn, he will just reinforce his center with pawns and knights, and I'm already doing quite poorly. The thing about this format is that it's very easy to make a mistake early. So I went g5. I mean, I thought this was a logical move. I'm stopping him from playing f4. If knight f3, I always have g4 ideas. And, you know, here he played d4, which might have not even been the best move. The computer actually prefers that he plays the knight here, which to me doesn't make any sense. Obviously, it seems sensible to do this. And then here I was like, okay, what about check? Has my opponent made a mistake? I'm forking. I'm making a threat here. And if knight to f3, I was thinking I can play g4, and the knight has to move. And, you know, I can take, or I can just leave my queen there and maybe play something like b5 or b6, and I thought I would have a good position. And then my opponent went here, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. He's just gambiting a pawn. He's just straight up giving away a pawn, and then I will just come out and, you know, I'll take on the challenge. No problem. Let's do it, okay? So I thought I should take. The computer thinks I should go here. But before I took the pawn, I played the move b5. Why did I play b5? So I could open up my light-squared bishop to help me get over here. And if he plays h3, I thought I would, you know, put the knight on this in the center and whatever. So he went knight d3, and I grabbed the pawn. And he went here. And suddenly I was like, oh, I'm in danger. You know that Simpsons meme? The point is, if I take the bishop, he takes, and then he takes this pawn, and not only have I not won a pawn, I'm also going to just straight up lose a bishop. My position is so bad, I can't save my piece. I have to go here and lose a knight. I was thinking, okay, of course I can just run away. But no, why would I do that? I'm not going to run away. Here's my plan. I'm going to play pawn to h6. And the point is that after we trade the bishop, I'm going to go here, and that's where I'm going to live with my queen, right? I'm going to take his bishop, but first I'm going to make sure my pawn is protected. So I played pawn to h6. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go here and here. Easy. He can't trap my queen. He doesn't have enough time. And then the world champion played knight to f4, which is a really nasty move. He just straight up gives me a knight. But the point is, even if I take the knight, this knight replace my queen is trapped. I don't have an escape square, and all my pieces cannot stop rook to h1, and I'm just going to lose my queen, and I resigned. I lost to the world champion of chess, frankly, in 6 moves in this format. 6 moves. I mean, the whole game was 9 moves. And now you might be sitting there and going, well, you didn't have to resign. Yeah, you're right. I could have went here. He would have trapped my queen. And then I would have gone like here. And then I would have lost in, 25 moves or however long it would have taken me. So he would have went knight g6. I would have lost another piece. I can't even believe this happened. Like, I actually thought I was making progress. But the craziest part is I'm already in a really bad position from the first move, which just goes to show you, like, you cannot give up any space in this format. But also this format is like, it's a hard format. I mean, sometimes, I've won games in 4 or 5 moves and then I'm losing a game in 4 or 5 moves. But the good news is Gukesh was then rewarded with a slightly better pairing. Gukesh, Magnus, Carlsen. Now, Magnus is only slightly better than me, but he was able to put up a better fight to the superstar talent that is Gukesh. This was a crazy game. So you'll notice they have a different setup, right? They have a different setup because it's a different round. Although the king and the queen are also in the middle. The king and the queen are actually also in the middle. The king is knight, rook, bishop. Here it's not knight, rook, bishop. It's traditional. So this is flipped. And like these 5 pieces are randomized, right? The other 3 are actually all on the same squares. So Gukesh plays e3. e3 is a very solid move, by the way. Very solid, like very surprising move. Not giving away much, actually. Not giving away much at all. Not really clear also what Gukesh wants to do here. It's a very interesting move, e3. Like, yeah, I don't know how to explain this move. The other first move here that the computer likes is h4, which, I mean, if you play h4, I don't really know what to say. I don't even know how to explain this move. e3. Magnus plays g6 because he wants to get his bishop out, and Gukesh plays f4. And what's crazy is Black's second best move is h5. I don't understand that. I can't even begin to pretend to understand this type of chess. Instead, we have f4, trying to take a little bit of space. I'm sure top-level players, when the board is scrambled like this, have some sort of meta strategy for their openings, but I won't be able to explain them to you. Magnus goes d5. So he opens up one bishop, 2 bishops, right? Gukesh plays g4. Very ambitious. And I think the point is kind of like, now the bishop is attacking the pawn in the center, so Black either has to defend it with a pawn or defend it with the queen or the bishop. He does defend it. He defends it with the pawn. However, this move c6 gets in the way of the knight, and it also potentially weakens the dark squares to the king. Right? So already white can toy with ideas like d4 closing the center, then trying to play for c4, etc. Gukesh plays knight c3. What I've noticed about Magnus in Fischer Random, in freestyle chess, he really likes to activate his queen early. He is unafraid of bringing out the queen. He did it against me as well. He likes to figure out where the queen is going to go before figuring out the rest. The problem is, and that's a general statement, for some positions. The problem with this is that Gukesh is giving up just a pawn, right? Gukesh is giving up the f pawn, and now it's 2 center pawns to 1, which is a nice advantage for the opponent. And now d4, obviously very natural move. Magnus puts the queen on e7. Magnus does this all the time. He did this against me too. He took with the queen in the corner, and then he put the queen back in the middle. He likes to play like that. Now we have bishop d2. From the opening, Gukesh has an advantage, right? He is going to either castle this way. He has now freed up the position for his king to go like this. He will probably use these pawns in an attacking way. He will also maybe go e4. Generally in chess, the person who controls the pawn breaks in the position controls the game, because you get to determine when the board is going to open up. The knight goes to e6, and now we have castles. And so now a very difficult position for Black, because there is a king in the middle, and we know that when there is a king in the middle of a chess game, you like to open it up with your e-pawn, with your center pawns, I should say, with a move like e4. So Magnus senses that he should probably play some sort of defense. He goes here, But we see that black is at least 3 moves away, or 4 moves away from getting totally solid. The king is not, like, he could go this way, but then you're going to walk into an attack. You could go this way, but I'm not sure you're going to have enough time before you get swarmed by the bishops and the knights and the rooks and so on. And that's what Gukesh does. And so now Gukesh is hunting down Magnus Carlsen, which, let me tell you, this is the 9th move. So this is when I resigned against Gukesh. We will see if Magnus Carlsen is able to survive. So this is a free pawn. Now Gukesh is very, very sharp tactically. He understands that black is ill-equipped, not equipped to grab a pawn. It's going to be hand in the cookie jar. Now, if you play pawn takes e4, Gukesh is going to go knight takes, and then he's going to threaten bishop b4, knight into d6, and black's position falls apart very quickly. So the move e4 is very much putting pressure on Magnus to make a poker read. Magnus takes on d4 with the bishop. Gukesh gives up the rook. Full rook is being sacrificed. That is just bishop takes rook. However, again, black loses time. Black brought his queen out, and then he brought it back. Black is going to bring the bishop out, and he's going to take the rook, but in that time, white is going to chop down the black position. Black is going to lose the only active pieces that he has, and with the king stranded in the center of the board, it's going to be very, very difficult, right? Bishop takes g1, pawn takes e6. Insane, by the way. Want to know something completely insane about this position? D takes e6 is top computer move. Top computer move is to take the pawn. Why? Because after this, black loses all pawns. Black has no shelter anymore. It's just so heinous. And when black plays rook b8, knight d5 attacks the queen. Queen's got to move. Bishop a5 check. And if king e8, bishop takes d7 and knight f6. And white wins. This is so crazy that in this position, instead of taking the knight, Gukesh should have taken the pawn, stripping Magnus of all pawns protecting his king, and it just shows you the power of the pawn wall, right? Gukesh takes the knight because he's a human, Magnus takes the queen, and now he's losing. Not takes with the queen, and now he's losing. Crazy. So, queen takes c6. The better move was pawn takes. Building up a little bit of a pawn wall, right? Queen takes e6 is played, and here Magnus thought he was losing because of queen h4 check. He thought he was not losing, but under a lot of pressure. The winning line for white is bishop g5 check. It's not really clear why that's the winning idea, but it's the winning idea because of this. Check. If the king goes here, this is a fork. Then you pick up the bishop, and you keep going. If king e8, you still go here. And when the bishop leaves, like to b6, you play rook e1 and you win the queen. To be honest with you, bishop g5, for a player of Gukesh's level, totally findable. I think if he analyzes this game, and he probably did, he's going to be very annoyed he did not play bishop g5. The hardest thing about bishop g5 is noticing that you have rook e1 at the end. That you basically go for this, and you're not, just trying to get in there with the queen. He goes here. His advantage is gone. Crazy. Both guys blundering. Like, again, in a classical game, regular chess, like, bishop g5, queen g3, and rook e1 is automatic. But because the piece formation here is so strange, it's easy to make these mistakes. And now knight e4, and now Magnus is better because he castles. Did you notice that? He uses that rook to castle. That is how you castle in this format. So now Gukesh is worse. His attack extinguished. He did not get enough compensation for giving up his rook, which he almost had. And, he had all these center attacks, but now Magnus successfully guarded his king. And by the way, Magnus is threatening an attack of his own. So very, very complicated position. What do you do here with white? Do you play defense? Do you take a moment to defend yourself? No. Best move by Gukesh. Bishop c3. Activating the bishop on the diagonal. Magnus still hasn't found a way to develop all his pieces. And it's not easy, by the way. The best setup here for black is to play bishop b6 with the idea to play bishop d8. The computer evaluates this position as better for black if and only if Magnus plays bishop b6, rook e1, bishop d8. Let me tell you right now, this is completely not human. That is insane to play like that. So what does Magnus do? He plays g5, and now Gukesh is back in the game because his queen gets closer. I think Magnus wanted to kind of like take a little bit of space and force the queen off the pressure off of this. And now he plays queen takes g4, and he's losing. Magnus is straight up losing again. And he's down to 19 seconds. Now, Gukesh is winning here if he finds, again, kind of a straightforward tactic. But there is a little twist to it. The tactic is rook takes knight and knight takes f6. Let me tell you right now, Gukesh absolutely saw that. 1,000,000% he saw this. The tactic is rook takes d7, bishop takes d7, knight takes f6, rook takes f6, queen takes f6. The problem is there is a counterattack and you don't actually get the mate. And if you take with the bishop, it looks like you have mate, but the king can run. But what you have to calculate from a distance is queen g7, king e6, queen e7, king f5, knight g3. This is the $1 million move. So from a distance, you have to calculate rook d7, bishop d7, knight f6, rook f6, bishop f6, king f7, queen g7, king e6, queen e7, king f5, knight g3. Gukesh misses it. Now the game is back on. Okay, now the game is back on. And Magnus doesn't have a lot of time. He has 19 seconds on the clock, and he barely gains any time per move. He gives a check. It's an important move. His bishop was hanging. Now the king, oh, no, Gukesh offers a bishop trade. That's a big decision. That's a big decision, but I guess after king b1, he was really unhappy with something. Oh, duh, the rook is hanging. Bishop d2. Now he has to trade off one of his bishops, and Magnus goes rook f7. Now Magnus is again under pressure. Knight d6 and knight h5. Pick your poison. The horses are going to go dancing. Knight h5. Magnus darts in, queen g1 check. He has 8 seconds on the clock to Gukesh's 55. How is Magnus not going to blunder here? Most people would be panicking. 8 seconds. Look at the pieces surrounding the black king, and the bishop can come in at any moment. Gukesh goes here. Magnus gives another check. Now Gukesh, oh, he doesn't have to block. It looks like he had to block, but this is protected, so he goes king b1, and now how does Magnus make a move? He's got 8 seconds. Time is ticking. What do you do here with black? You can't move anything. You can't make a move. It's impossible to find a move here, and this is under attack. How do you even protect that? How do you protect that? Time is ticking. Magnus finds the only move to survive. It's ridiculous. I mean, knight f6 looks like game over. Knight f6, you don't have a way to protect it. But queen e2 is the move, because now if knight f6, you know what black plays here? You can't take because rook d8, king h8. How does Magnus see this with 5 seconds on the clock? 5 seconds on the clock, he finds queen e2 counterattacking the rook. The rook goes to g1. Magnus again has 8 seconds to come up with the only move. He attacks the rook again. It's the only thing he can do. Now, if Gukesh had gone rook d1, I think they make a draw here. I think they make a draw. Instead, he goes here, obviously, because he wants to attack here. And again, the only way that Magnus cannot lose here is to poke at the rook. Gukesh probably can make a draw. He can repeat the position. Magnus will keep attacking his rook. White doesn't have a moment to strike, and White is not going to put the rook in the corner, or he might. Gukesh comes back. He doesn't want to draw. He attacks the queen and defends the rook. Now, again, Magnus under pressure. Does he just shuffle the queen back and forth, which is what he's been doing, or does he have a better move? He finds the only move on the board with 3 seconds on the clock. It's the only move that doesn't lose. Not only is it the only move that doesn't lose, it walks into a fork. There's a fork, but he wants the fork to happen. If there's queen e6, and then White loses a knight for a rook, but suddenly doesn't have as powerful of an attack anymore. Magnus wants to put the queen here, put the knight here, activate the bishop. This was the top computer move. Even if it was played by accident just to not lose on time, it is ridiculous that his first instinct, with 3 seconds on the clock, is to blunder a fork. And Gukesh does not want to take the pressure off. Maybe Gukesh missed the fork because, again, he also doesn't have a lot of time. He plays rook d1. Black still can't make a move. It's impossible for black to make a move. If he plays knight f8, again, rook is always threatening to come in. Knight f6 is a problem. He plays queen e6 back. Now Gukesh has to bring his bishop, and now it's a scramble. Now you're going to watch as two of the best players in the world right now play a clutch game with 10 seconds left. I mean, this is no time left. You know, you got to put the ball in the basket. You got to put the puck in the goal, whatever. You got to hit the clutch shot. Knight back to h5. Again, Magnus is waiting for a moment to move the rest of his pieces, but he can't because this is under attack. He plays the only move. The only move in the position. Queen e7. He plays this move in 0.7 seconds. How? How does he just know that? Because he's controlling the pace of the game. He's just controlling. He understands Gukesh is about Gukesh comes in with the best move himself. Rook comes back. And now Gukesh could have brought the bishop. I mean, this would have been nuts. I don't know how you deal with all of this with no time on the clock. But he comes back to f5. Attacks the queen. Everything is losing here for black, except queen f7. This one's a little bit easier because you have to stop mate. And now, rook e1. Rook e1 is losing because you can get in the way with the knight. But Magnus makes this next move in less than 1 second because he had been preparing this move mentally. He wanted to play king h8. King h8 is such a ludicrous move to play. Like, black would love to play queen g6, but you cannot play queen g6 because knight e7 is a fork. So you play king h8. Now you are threatening to trade the queen. This is protected. Gukesh plays rook e7. Look at the sheer dominance of the white pieces here. And yet, queen g6. This is so crazy. And now you have to play an endgame. Now you are not even winning. Gukesh plays bishop f3. He doesn't know what to do. He plays this move with 0.1 seconds on the clock. He gains 1 second. Almost lost on time. Take, take. Now the best move here is knight to e5. Again, Magnus has to play this move, but he doesn't. Time trouble. And now if Gukesh plays knight f7, it's a draw. Plays knight f7, it's a draw. But he has 2 seconds to physically make a move and not lose on time. Knight f7. You got to sack the rook or you got to make a draw. Plays here. And now he's losing. Now he is losing because he simply runs out of time. Now Magnus plays knight f6 in a scramble, offering the exchange of the knights. He's ready to bring in all his pieces. Gukesh's fire runs out. He plays knight f6, rook f6, gives the check, king g7, knight takes pawn check, but the king has escaped. And once the king has escaped, white does not have the artillery to battle in the endgame. He defends himself, pawn to h6, kicks out the knight leaves, rook d6, and Magnus is ready to bring in the only two. They haven't moved for 38 moves. 38 moves, and guess what? Check, king f6, rook e8, Magnus plays b6, activating the bishop, protecting the rook, bishop b7. Finally, 41 moves later, the rook moves, the bishop moves, offering a trade of the rooks, and he has to come back. And here Magnus was ready to bring this rook to the game and realized that this move blocks the bishop. Game over. Checkmate. This was a crazy game. This was so high level. Like, Gukesh just played fantastic chess early on. This is like, this is pure Gukesh right here. Understanding the dynamics, the lead in development, the advantage. And the crazy thing is, Magnus was straight up losing on 11 moves. I lost in 9. He lost in 11. Okay, so don't get it twisted. And then Gukesh regenerated a powerful attack, and here had to find this rook d7 combo, which he definitely considered. And for Magnus to find this only defensive setup, like this, dancing the queen around the board with 5 seconds remaining on the clock, and then to counter Gukesh, force a queen trade, is just such high-level chess. And he still got it. He hasn't lost the clutch gene, and the young guys, and Gukesh in particular, because he's the world champ, still got to put him away. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy stuff. There you go. That's a little bit of Gotham, Gukesh, and Magnus for you in one video. I lost in 9 moves, but you know, then the final boss showed up and then put up a crazy fight, and Gukesh was still winning in this one too. So, fun games. That's all. Get out of here.